Under the white fluorescent lights of the barracks hallway, silence held its breath. Everyone had seen the kick. No one had moved. Private Emily Cross sat slumped against the cold wall, a dark bruise swelling under her left eye, her breathing uneven. The echo of Sergeant Miller's boot still lingered in the air like a curse. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. When Miller had lashed out, it wasn't during a drill or training session. It was after hours, an argument over a report she'd corrected, one he'd falsified. Emily had stood her ground, her voice steady, but his pride couldn't take it. In front of 7 soldiers, he'd driven his boot into her face and called it discipline. No one moved. The hall filled with an invisible tension, the kind that makes even breathing feel wrong. Emily's thoughts blurred between rage and shame. They saw it. Every one of them saw it. Her hand trembled as she touched the blood trickling down her cheek. She didn't cry. She wouldn't give him that. Miller turned to leave, his smirk cutting through the air. "File a report if you want, Cross," he sneered. "Let's see who they believe." She thought she'd never see him again. She was wrong. The next morning the base felt different. Whispers spread before breakfast. Phones buzzed. By noon the rumor had shape. 3 generals were flying in. Not just any generals. Inspectors from the top. Emily sat alone in the mess hall, a patch over her eye, her tray untouched. Every bite of food around her clattered louder than usual. She felt every stare, every quiet guilt from soldiers who hadn't spoken up. Then boots echoed. A synchronized march. The kind that freezes air. Down the hallway came the generals, stern, silent, followed by the base commander, pale and sweating. Every soldier straightened as if gravity itself had tightened. Emily stayed seated against the wall, where it had happened. One general, tall, silver-haired, with eyes that looked through time, stopped in front of her. "Private Cross," he said, his voice calm but edged with something sharp. "We've seen the footage." The color drained from the walls. Turns out, one of the hallway cameras had been left running, a detail Miller forgot. The footage had reached the Pentagon within 12 hours. Emily tried to speak, but he raised a hand gently. "You did nothing wrong. You stood up for integrity, and you paid for it." Behind him, Sergeant Miller was escorted in wrists bound, head low. For the first time, his arrogance had vanished. The general turned toward the lined-up soldiers who'd watched in silence that night. "Courage isn't silence," he said coldly. "And discipline doesn't mean cruelty." A heavy pause followed. Then his words cut deeper. "This unit is done. Effective immediately." It was over. Just like that. The hallway filled with a strange sound. Not cheering, not relief, but the quiet release of truth finally spoken. Emily exhaled, the trembling in her hands fading. Later that day, as the generals prepared to leave, the silver-haired one placed a folded note on her lap. "You'll find justice and service, Private," he said softly. "Just don't let the cruel make you doubt your worth." When the choppers lifted off, the wind whipped through the courtyard, lifting dust and dry leaves, like the base itself was breathing again. That night, Emily walked the same corridor where she'd been attacked. The walls seemed less suffocating. Somewhere deep down she felt it, the quiet strength of knowing she'd endured. And that truth had answered back. Because justice doesn't always shout. Sometimes it walks in quietly, wearing stars on its shoulders. And sometimes kindness takes the shape of courage, standing when silence would be easier. If this story moved you, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more true stories of courage, justice, and the human spirit. Your voice keeps these stories alive.